To the Christians who supported Donald Trump, congratulations. You got what you voted for. And now is going to be the true test of your fidelity to your faith in Jesus Christ. If you're truly faithful to Christ, I hope you're willing to stand up and speak up against President Trump every time he uses rhetoric that demonizes the poor, the oppressed, the least of these. I hope you're ready to stand up and speak up against President Trump every time he privileges those with power and wealth instead of standing up for the least of these and those who are marginalized. I hope you're willing to stand up on the values, the teachings, the morals of Jesus every time President Trump transgresses those morals. He promised to be the Christian president, and yet we already know the character of this man. We already know the policies of this man, and they are not the policies and the character of somebody who claims to follow Jesus Christ. So if you're truly a Christian, I hope you're going to be willing to stand on your faith, to stand up and speak up and push back against President Trump. But sadly, I don't think that your decision to vote for Trump was based on your faith at all. I think it was based on your own desire to preserve your own power and privilege, despite claiming to worship the God who gave up his power and privilege for the good of others. If you're truly Christian, we're going to be watching you. We're going to be waiting for you to stand on the values of Jesus and to oppose everything that President Trump does and says that's out of alignment with our faith. And buckle up, because you already know every day there's going to be something.
Why do so many Christians support Trump? I mean, what has he done that's so Christ-like? We don't support Trump because we think he's perfect. We support Trump because he stands up for Christian values, and that's the bottom line.
How do you justify voting for somebody? You know, you say you're Christian and you follow the values of the Bible. How do you justify voting for somebody who's cheated on all of his wives, all three of them, documented, he doesn't deny this, slept with the porn star, hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. God knows what happened there. Still flies on his plane, by the way. His plane broke down, so he's just borrowing the old Epstein plane. You can look that up. How do you justify voting for him? He's probably broken all of the 10 commandments. Do you really think he's ever been to church? He was asked a few years ago what his favorite Bible verse was, and he couldn't answer. You could see the panic in his eyes. He pivoted, and he couldn't answer. He lied about it. You are a fake Christian if you are voting for him. And I've heard people say, oh, he has morals. I'm voting because he has family morals. Is grabbing her by the kitty cat part, the P word, is that morally correct, saying that? Are cheating on all of your wives moral? Come on, you are a fake Christian if you are voting for him. Period. You're lying to yourself. You're essentially voting for the devil. I mean, in the way the Bible describes it. So I'm not calling him the devil. The Bible is. You're just fake. You're fake. You're lying to yourself. But it's okay to vote for him, but don't call yourself a true Christian who follows the Bible if you're voting for him, because you are not. You are just as bad as he is. Period.
Yesterday, I posted this on Threads. All right, Christians, Trump or Jesus? You can't serve both. And I stand by that. And if you are a Christian, this answer is easy. You just say Jesus. I got over 2,000 replies of people who couldn't follow this basic prompt. Like this guy. Trump is doing great things. Is it greater than Jesus did? Absolutely not. Nowhere near what Jesus did. But Trump is furthering what Jesus did by serving justice and protecting the interests of Americans. Yes, because John 3:16 said, for God so loved the world that he sent his only son to protect the interests of Americans. And the amount of people that wrote long things that were like, whoa, what about Kamala Harris? Was that the alternative? Like, filled with misinformation. No, she's literally not killing babies. And also, she is not president. And I did not mention her. And you know, it is possible for you to have voted for Donald Trump in 2024, see that he's kidnapping people off the streets and shipping them off to prisons, sometimes by administrative error, mind you. And you could say, you know what? I don't want to support this man anymore. You could do that. But I said, okay, so you choose Trump. Got it. She said, yes. I hate it here.
I've also seen videos of MAGA saying that if you don't love and support Trump, you are not a true Christian. And I stop and wonder, how do you call yourself a true Christian? And yet, you hate immigrants? Are you a racist towards black and brown people? And you support cruelty? I think MAGA has weaponized Christianity to continue being hateful. So let's get to see more. Please like and have the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments, alright? Let's get into it.
Being a Trump supporter and being Christian fundamentally does not make any sense to me. Both in the New and Old Testament, it says that we should help the poor. We should help those who have less than us. We should be compassionate for those who don't have as much as we do. So how could you, believing in that, stand by and watch Medicaid be cut, watch SNAP be cut, knowing that this is going to hurt those who need it the most? On top of that, it is no secret that in this big, beautiful bill, the people who will benefit the most are the richest people in our country. Trump and Republicans want to help the rich get richer while making the poor struggle more than they already do. Hopefully some Christian Trump supporters can make me understand how you guys believe that we are all children of God or we're all made in God's image while supporting a government who does not give a fuck about the poor.
I don't understand how we are still entertaining the delusional idea that you can simultaneously profess to be a Christian and a Donald Trump supporter. And I'll be the first to admit that horrific things have been done in the name of Christianity, but I would make the same argument that the people back then doing those horrific things, as well as the people today co-signing on the horrific things being done to immigrants and U.S. citizens, are not Christian. I've always said that I don't think that if you profess to be a Christian that you will ever fully align with either political party, because there are obviously going to be things that contradict the doctrine that you say that you believe. I fully recognize that no person is perfect, that there are always going to be things that you agree with and disagree with, and that typically speaking that you choose the candidate that most closely aligns with your values and go on from there. What I'm not able to reconcile is how you can say that you are a Christian and you want to uphold and maintain Christian beliefs in our nation, and then you elect a man who directly contradicts all of the teachings that you claim to believe. One of the things that I find most disturbing about this whole thing is that there are so many Christian content creators that are so quick to label something as demonic. If an actor or a basketball player or whoever throws up a symbol, you're so certain that that person is involved in a demonic organization that sacrifices children and does horrific things to them. But then when the actual president of the United States is implicated and mentioned in these files of a known child predator 1,500 times, suddenly it's fake news, and there's not enough of a correlation for you to determine that he himself is part of that organization. I really don't understand how in your head that makes sense. You claim to vote for Trump because you're so afraid of the trans agenda that's going to allow trans people into the bathroom with your daughters, which that in and of itself is a problem because you realize that those predators that you speak of would be allowed in the bathroom with your sons. And I don't know why you're only making it exclusive to your daughters, but that's beside the point. But for some reason, you're silent when Donald Trump brags about going into lockers rooms with young women and seeing them naked without their consent, and suddenly there's more context needed. And then you claim that you voted for him only because you're about preserving traditional family values, which apparently he doesn't even believe in, considering the fact that he's had 3 wives and is a serial adulterer who cheated on all of them, and is also a convicted felon for falsifying business documents to conceal the fact that he paid off an adult film star that he had an affair with while he was married. It makes no sense to say that you know that somebody's part of the Illuminati because of a symbol that they threw up, but then when Elon Musk does his salute, suddenly we're seeing things incorrectly. Or when Charlie Kirk, who is a podcaster who built his whole platform on disparaging the Black community, is called a racist, suddenly further context is needed. I think it's time that you all start admitting what everybody else already knows to be true. This has never been about Christianity or preserving Christian values. It's about preserving whiteness in America. And you're afraid of diversity because you're afraid that you will no longer be in control. You don't support Trump because you genuinely believe that he's Christian or represents the principles of Christianity. You support Trump because he's a racist and he makes you feel better about your own racist beliefs.
So I was raised in Christian fundamentalism and evangelicalism, and so I'm honestly confused why Christians are saying Trump is Christian. Also, I was raised in evangelicalism that if someone is gay, and even if they say they're Christian, even if they're going to church and checking all the boxes, they're not Christians because you can't be Christian and living in sin. And so I'm really confused why Trump has the Christian vote when it's clear that he's living in sin with what he has been proven in court to have done, and all of the allegations, especially regarding like sex assault against women. why people are still saying he's a Christian. And even if you want to say all of those are allegations and not true, then I give you this. He is on his third marriage, and that is not Christian in evangelicalism. You're not supposed to get divorced, and if you do get divorced, you are sure as hell not supposed to get remarried. So I honestly am deeply confused why I was raised to be so judgmental of people that are not looking like Christians and acting the right way. And so I'm confused why these super conservative people are okay with Trump, but not okay with a gay person that is practicing Jesus's truth. Please, please shed some light, because I would like to have an honest discussion and get to the root of why evangelicals are voting for this man.
I don't understand how someone can call themselves a Christian and have voted for Donald Trump. It is mind-boggling to me as someone that, identifies as a leftist witch. I was raised Catholic. I'm very familiar with having grown up in a religious household and a religious family, and I can't reconcile, and I think it's just beyond logic. I don't know if it's the autism or what, but I'm trying to, I feel like, put a square peg in a round hole here with reconciling how someone can consider themselves to be a Christian, supporter of or believer in God and Jesus, and in taking care of your fellow person, in uplifting the poor and marginalized communities, and then go and vote not only generally against their own interests, but also against the interests of all the values that they say they espouse and believe. So if anyone here has thoughts on how you reconcile those things, I am all ears. But honestly, it's frustrating for me. I was grateful. My grandmother is Catholic, has been pretty conservative her entire life, and even she didn't vote for Trump because she can understand the hypocrisy of voting for someone that is just looking to take advantage of you. So if you are a Christian, or you know someone that's a Christian who voted for Velveeta Voldemort, I'm all ears. Let me know why.
I think one of the hardest things right now, as a Christian who knows what is going on, what time we're living in, is to realize that most of us don't care about what happens to other people as long as our way of life is somehow promised to be saved. And I'm looking at a lot of people and watching them, the ones who are now coming out of MAGA. And while I'm happy that people are waking up, it's sad to realize that they're only waking up because now certain policies are affecting them, but they didn't care when it hurt others. And it's so grievous. And it makes me sad, because we as Christians know that the number 2 commandment that Jesus gave us, the first one was love God above all, and the second one, love your neighbor as yourself. That one has been completely dismissed, and that most people don't care. Most people don't care what happens to their neighbors as long as they're good. Most people don't care that they're poor people that will get shipped off just because their skin is brown and put into horrible prisons, even if they're not criminals, and they don't care. They don't care that history is being erased. They don't care that kids aren't getting a proper education. They don't care that veterans aren't being taken care of. They don't care that the Black history is nullified now, that we won't talk about that anymore. They don't care. They don't care that women are basically going to lose rights. They don't care. And I remember speaking to people years and years ago, and about things that will be coming. We didn't realize it was going to come this way, but we knew it was going to come some way or the other. And I remember they would say, well, as long as I'm good, and I don't go against the law, if I'm a law-abiding citizen, nothing's going to happen to me. And that's just simply not true. Because once you have a dictatorship take over, They're going to reduce the rights of everybody, everyone. And if you think you're safe, you're wrong. You're not going to be safe. Because they're going to take away and take away and take away and take away. And once people taste power, they do not give that power up. They do not give that power up, and they will kill, they will subjugate, they will suppress, they will do anything to keep that power. And they will not see you as citizens or as human beings. You're just the surplus eaters that they don't care about. And at the pressing a button, they will send you to oblivion. But it's sad that so many Christians who should know better, are only waking up because it's affecting them. And it just makes me sad. It just makes me sad. And it's shameful that other people are putting us to shame. Other people are literally putting us to shame. Other people are caring more about their fellow men than Christians. It's the great delusion. It's the great delusion. And it's hard to watch. It really is. And yes, we knew this was coming. We have it all in prophecy, but it's hard to watch.
Some politicians use Christianity to gain followers, and not just in America, but in many countries across the world. But their policies and character, they don't reflect Christian values. Faith teaches love, compassion, and caring for the vulnerable, but many of Trump's policies, they hurt the poor and vulnerable people in our communities. So you can't say that you are a true Christian and yet to support ICE agents being cruel to immigrants, killing people on the streets and tearing families apart. You can't lack compassion seeing children watching their parents being taken away by ICE, and yet you're happy about that. That's not the value of a true Christian. You can't call yourself a true Christian when you don't support programs like USAID, SNAP, Medicaid, things that help the poor and the vulnerable people in our communities. You see, you can't support when leaders use harsh language towards journalists and immigrants, and also when you stop seeing immigrants as human beings, and you forget that these are people with families trying to provide for their children. I believe as a Christian, political leaders should not use language that is insulting, divisive, or even dehumanizing. They should use language that lowers the temperature rather than raise it. Christianity has never been about showing kindness only to the people who look like us or who come from the same countries as us. You should love everybody, regardless of race, background, or even social status. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.